Breaking story. Tracking stories. News Channel 25 Night Beat.
Do these two look familiar at all? Well, Andrew Charles Beck and Ashley Baker in January of last year busted in Waco on drug charges and child endangerment. Well, tonight those two are in trouble again after the sheriff's criminal investigation team and other law enforcement raided the same home on Roy Beatty Lane in Belmead.
And Beck and Baker weren't the only ones. 40-year-old Vince Phelan and 23-year-old Devonnie Graham were also arrested this morning, both on drug charges in that 6 a.m. execution of a search warrant. Deputies, along with Belmead police and DPS troopers, as well as canine officers and a SWAT team, found meth, pot, ecstasy, and cash in that home. They also seized stolen property and bogus checks, IDs, social security cards, and credit cards. Court papers say the group was trafficking drugs, committing burglaries, and committing fraud and identity theft. And one more arrest was easy for deputies. Johnny Quinones III was already behind bars on a meth arrest last month, and now he also faces charges of fraudulent use of ID information. All 5 suspects face drug charges, fraud charges, or both. And Sheriff Parnell McNamara says don't be surprised if there are more arrests related to today's raid.
This is your First Alert weather.
We are settling into a cold Friday night across central Texas as we take a look.
Well, now to that brutal winter storm threatening millions of Americans tonight. Already at least 9 deaths in 3 states have been attributed to that blizzard.
And the worst of it is yet to come. The Washington, D.C. area is expected to bear the brunt of it, and that's where we find ABC's Lana Zach.
This monster snowstorm is making its way north tonight. 80 million people facing extreme weather from Mississippi to Massachusetts, with a target on the nation's capital.
It has life and death implications.
It is predicted to be the biggest blizzard in 90 years. As much as 2 feet of snow, wind gusts of up to 50 miles an hour. More than 6,800 flights canceled through Sunday. Already the southeast blanketed in snow. In North Carolina, this snowplow operator says it's the worst he's seen. So many motorists caught in this situation, or worse. And along the Jersey Shore, residents warned that they haven't faced anything this bad since Hurricane Sandy. This giant sand dune, nearly 1.5 miles long and 12 feet tall, was created to protect this town. Still, some have been taking advantage of the fresh fallen snow to have a little fun. In Fort Campbell, Kentucky, even Snowzilla had to shovel the driveway.
And as beautiful as this snow is right now, experts are saying it's only going to get worse from here, predicting that this snow won't let up until at the earliest tomorrow night. In Washington, Lana Zach for ABC News.
On the crime beat tonight, at least 5 people have been arrested in Temple after a home invasion at a local apartment complex. It happened shortly before 1 a.m. at the Glen Apartments on South 39th Street. Police say 4 adult men and 2 juveniles broke through the front door of a unit with people inside. It is unclear why or at what point a shot was fired, but no one was hit. 3 of the suspects then fled on foot after their Tahoe was pulled over. 2 of them were caught. 3 who stayed in the SUV were also arrested. The DA's office will decide on charges.
And in Hillsborough, members of the DPS Public Safety Police Division also executed a search warrant at a drug house. They recovered 10 grams of meth at the 600 block of East Walnut. 2 people were arrested.
Marlin is reviewing its policy for off-duty jobs for officers after their chief was murdered while working security at a bar. Chief Darrell Allen was shot to death while working at a Temple club last year. Now, if officers want to work at a bar or a club outside of Marlin, they'll have to ask for approval. The chief of police and city officials will assess the risk before allowing them to do so.
I would hate to send my guys to a place where I know that it's extremely too rough, and they've had incidents in the past where they're not following the rules or whatnot. If I send them to a bar, I want to be able to send them to a bar where the risk is not as high as it was in Temple.
Chief Eglin plans to draft a new off-duty work policy that would work for both the officers and the city.
Nearly 24 people were busted in a prostitution sting in the Houston area, and one of those arrested is supposed to be upholding the law, not breaking it. 20-year Houston police veteran 46-year-old Tony Sellers is one of the 19 people who were busted the last couple of days. Sellers has already been relieved of duty after undercover officers posing as hookers caught him in a sting. That sting took place near several daycare centers. Out of the 19, one was a woman who was busted for prostitution.
These folks that want to come out here and solicit, you might want to think twice, because it could be an undercover officer, and we will arrest you and we will put you in jail.
Sellers is suspended with pay pending the outcome of an internal affairs investigation. He was a senior patrol officer on the northeast side of Houston.
A Cedar Park man is facing charges after police say he crossed the line while giving two young girls piano lessons just outside of Austin. 34-year-old Dustin Hoyt faces a second-degree felony after he allegedly touched a 6- and 9-year-old during private piano lessons. In both cases, the parents say they were not in the room. Williams was also giving those lessons under a different name, which he says is his artist name. Some neighbors still believe this is all just a misunderstanding.
He wasn't trying to hide anything. He just said this is how it is. Good man, very conscientious, loves his family beyond belief.
Williams has been charged with indecency with a child by contact. He has bonded out of the Travis County Jail.
In Austin, daycare is under investigation after 3 small children wandered off last week. The 3 kids, all under 2 years old, were somehow able to get the back wooden gate open at the Martin House downtown. Those kids got all the way to 5th Street before workers tracked them down, and they were unharmed. One mother says her kids have always enjoyed that daycare center, but she admits the breakout is concerning.
And the kids ran down, and if you go back that way, there's an alley, and then you can get to the road. I thought it was very unfortunate. Thankfully, no one got hurt or injured.
Staffers confirmed the 2 employees who were supposed to be watching the children have been let go. The daycare is also beefing up security and adding taller gates to prevent this from happening again.
Local veterinarians are urging dog owners to be alert. The H3N2 virus, more commonly known as the dog flu, started popping up last spring in the Midwest, and at least 1 case has been confirmed in Texas. Over 1,000 dogs across the nation have been sickened by the virus, and while nothing's been confirmed in our area, a local veterinarian says it's just a matter of time.
It starts and it will move through an area like wildfire. It gets into the kennels and rescues and shelters, and these places are, can certainly be a problem because they house large numbers of dogs, and so these symptoms get going, and before you realize you've got something, you have 10 or 12 dogs that can have it.
To reduce your pup's chance of getting the virus, Dr. Irwin says keep a close eye on your pets. If they start to experience any flu-like symptoms, take them in for a checkup.
Well, Sprint has laid off more than 350 employees in Temple, closing the Mobile Giants customer care call center. On the 5th of next month, that center will be shut down. The employees were notified today of the layoffs. In a statement to us today, Sprint says they have to change their cost structure and become more efficient.
Canadians are in mourning tonight after a school shooting that claimed at least 4 lives.
Plus, pro-life supporters were out in force despite the impending winter storm.
And it is a cold night across the region, but we do have a warm-up on the way for the weekend. We'll have a complete look at your forecast and more after the break.
With the First Alert 25.
Can't really buy a lot of rain after a very wet fall, so we'll just have to wait and see if that pattern will change as we get into February.
Yeah.
Bet it catches up.
Eventually, it
Yeah.
will.
It has a way of doing it.
Yes.
All right, thanks. Americans and Marines honor the men and women who in uniform who lost their lives in a tragic helicopter accident.
And an explosive situation in Louisiana after a truck transporting military equipment topples over.
Authorities say 4 people are dead, 2 more are injured after shots rang out at a high school and a second location in a small town in Canada. Canadian authorities say a gunman is now in custody after they received a call about a weapon being discharged around 1 p.m. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau initially said 5 people had died, but police later corrected that to 4. It's not yet known whether the gunman or the victims were students.
Today, pro-life supporters marched for life on the National Mall. Thousands turned out earlier today despite weather warnings to show their support for the unborn. The March for Life is an annual event held at the Capitol.
An American pastor reconnects with his family in North Carolina after spending more than 3 years imprisoned in Iran. Saeed Abedini is one of 5 American prisoners recently released by the Islamic Republic. He had an emotional reunion with loved ones Thursday afternoon in Asheville. He'll spend some time at the Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove in Asheville, and then his wife and children will join him Monday. Abedini was arrested in 2012 and convicted the next year on charges of attempting to undermine the Iranian government.
With economic sanctions finally lifted, Iranians are hoping for a big boost in their nation's economy. On the first Friday since the implementation of a nuclear agreement in Tehran, a tone of optimism, hope, and reconciliation even toward the U.S. While many sanctions have officially been lifted, the effects have not yet kicked in. Still, many there hope soon the economy will thrive.
It can help Iran's economy, and also we have a lot of educated engineers inside Iran, outside Iran.
With the sanctions relief, Iran says it wants to sell up to 500,000 additional barrels of oil every day. Tehran also expects major foreign investment in sectors like manufacturing, tourism, and IT. But there's still this death to America chants at the hardliners' Friday prayers. Even after the nuclear agreement, they don't trust the United States. They believe America is trying to increase its influence in the Islamic Republic.
Military members and families gathered at Marine Corps Base Hawaii today to pay tribute to the 12 U.S. Marines aboard 2 helicopters that collided off the coast. The status of the missing Marines changed to deceased Wednesday after 5 full days of search and rescue operations.
Thank you for coming to the memorial service to honor our fallen brothers. Thank you for sharing in our grief.
The governor of the state of Hawaii has ordered the flags of the United States and the state to be flown at half-staff until sunset Tuesday. Marine Corps Base Hawaii will also fly its flag at half-staff.
A highway in Louisiana was shut down today after a trailer carrying military explosives overturned. Louisiana State Police say an 18-wheeler was traveling on Highway 167 when the trailer separated from the cab. The trailer then spilled its contents on the road. Officials from the Fort Polk Army installation in Louisiana came to the scene to investigate. Both police and Fort Polk confirm explosives fell out of that trailer. Nobody was hurt, but authorities say it could take days to clean up the accident site.
A police officer charged with murder now out on bond.
An unbelievable video of a child found running in the middle of a roadway. DeKalb County Police Officer Robert Olson, just indicted on murder charges, has been released on bond. Olson shot and killed Anthony Hill, a mentally ill military veteran who was naked and unarmed in March of 2015 when Olson found him running around an apartment complex. The officer said he was in fear for his life when he shot Hill because he was advancing on him and ignoring his commands to stop.
An Arkansas firefighter was shot and killed while responding to a medical call today. According to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, 29-year-old Ronald Adams went to a home where someone was reportedly having a seizure. But when deputies arrived there, they found Adams had been shot. He was taken to a hospital in North Little Rock where he died. The residents of the home are being questioned by investigators.
Horrifying video from a police dash cam of a toddler running in the middle of a busy roadway. In Newport, Oregon, a sheriff's deputy found this child. He was able to pick him up before he was hit by a car. Now, the tot was safely returned to his parents, who were frantically searching for him. Well, it turns out the 2-year-old slipped out an open door as his parents were cleaning up after a gathering at a nearby community center.
General Motors won a victory in the first personal injury case involving its faulty ignition switches. The case never even got to a jury because a witness came forward to contradict allegations made by the plaintiff. This case was expected to be an indicator of whether victims could successfully sue GM instead of taking the settlement that was offered to them. GM has admitted it was at fault in failing to recall more than 1 million cars with faulty ignition switches for about a decade after the problem was discovered.
A former Alaska Airlines captain was arrested in California this week, accused of piloting a plane while under the influence of alcohol. According to a criminal complaint, 60-year-old Hans Arnsten was the pilot of 2 Alaska Airlines flights on June 20th of 2014. After landing at John Wayne Airport in Orange County, Arnsten was selected for random drug and alcohol testing by his employer, and the results showed he failed that test.
Baylor men's basketball team prepares for the #1 team in the country coming to Waco tomorrow.
Plus, it was a great night in high school girls and boys basketball. Tim has the highlights next in sports.
And finally tonight, give those sheep a badge. Those animals saved the day during a high-speed police chase in New Zealand. That was Ann, the echo there. All started when a car carrying 4 people failed to stop. Chase went on for an hour and a half, but stopped abruptly when a huge mob of sheep took over the roadway. And those guys no longer on the lam.
A mob of sheep.
Wow.
See what you did there.
A mob of sheep.
That's what it says there, a mob of sheep.
All right, I'm going to
flock
save
of
us,
sheep?
and we're going to take a look at the 7-day
Maybe a
forecast.
flock, maybe.
All right, 7-day
you write
forecast
that?
shows lots of sunshine for your Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be cool tomorrow, though, with highs in the 50s. We do warm up by Sunday, Monday, before another cold front comes in. Brings us another cool shot of air by Tuesday and Wednesday, and then another warm up as temperatures continue to go up and down here for the next 7 days.
Not too many farmers and ranchers.
I think they're pulling the wool over my eyes, to be honest with you. So.
In the Black